Welcome back to the VinMan show. I'm glad y'all can join me today. And before I continue on from yesterday about being in the hospital and with congestive heart failure, which probably doesn't leave you on a happy feeling note, but you got to look back at these things with a smile. And if you can't look back with them and find the humor in them, then you probably have to go through them again. Because my thing is, hey, a day without laughter is a wasted day. A wasted day, man. So I'm not telling you these things to make you feel bad, because this is the feel-good show. But when I look back, and I was in the hospital with congestive heart failure, and that's where you can't breathe when you're laying down. So that's bad enough. I mean, if you're tired, you want to lay down, and you can't lay down because you can't breathe. So you got to sleep sitting up all the time, which is a drag. And the problem is because my heart was racing. My heart was racing. It was ticking too fast to pump the fluid out of my lungs. And so if I was just sitting there, my heart was going like 120 beats per minute. And I was just laying there. And then if I, got up and go to the bathroom, or something, then I'd go up to 130, 40, 50, 150, and without hardly doing anything, like going to the bathroom, which was about 10 steps away. And so the doctors, they didn't like that. So they said, yeah, this is going to wear your heart out. And if it's just going to keep going this quick. And I said, well, what do you recommend? And they said, well, then they came in and said, well, we recommend you get a defibrillator pacemaker. At first they said defibrillator. And they said, but, we put the defibrillator in. What that does is if your heart goes real high, it shocks you to bring your heart rate back down, and so you won't die. It's mainly if you pass out because your heart starts going like 180, 200 beats per minute, and you pass out, and you're laying there. Then it's like putting the shockers on you, and it shocks you back to life. That's a defibrillator. And they said, but that won't solve your problem. I said, that'll just bring you back to life if you die, if you pass out because your blood's not circulating because the pump's just going too fast. It's not pumping. And I said, well, if that's not going to solve my problem, why should I get it? And they go, well, it could save your life. And I said, well, what's the downside of, what if I don't have it and I go into tachycardia? They said, well, usually you pass out, and unless you get somebody brings over the shocking things and shocks you back to life, you probably die within 5 minutes. And I thought about that, and I said, that doesn't sound like too bad of a way to go. I'd pass out, so I'd be asleep, and then in 5 minutes I'm dead. I said, well, geez, and I can live with that. I mean, it's just, and they said, what? Are you crazy, man? This could save your life. This is like insurance. I said, well, I said, we're all going to die someday, and I'd rather have a couple more decades. But, if this isn't going to solve my problem, what's the sense in having it just to be shocked back to life, just to be in this condition? They said, yeah, that's true. They said, well, then they said, well, maybe we could have put a pacemaker in. But and so I said, okay, let me think about that. So I did my research on pacemakers, and they came back, and I'm thinking, well, that doesn't sound too bad. And actually, a friend of mine sells pacemakers, so I gave him a call and said, what do you think? And he said, yeah, it's a good idea. Said it's just a procedure. It's not a major operation. And I said, okay. And so the next day, the doctors came back, and I said, okay, I think the pacemaker sounds okay to me. And they go, well, we could put it in, but we still don't think it's going to solve your problem. It's going, okay, so now what do we do? They said, well, maybe if we put the pacemaker in and ran 2 wires or 3 wires through your heart, that we could control it, your heartbeat that way. And if not, we could do an ablation, which means we could cut the heart in basically half, meaning that the top part of your heart sends the electrical current down to the bottom of your heart to make it pump. And apparently that was all goofed up. And they said what we could do is just ablate your heart so your top part of your heart isn't sending anything to your lower part. We'll send it through by the pacemaker. I'm going, what? So I said, if the pacemaker stops, they said, yeah, if the pacemaker stops, then you're dead. And there's no going back. Once we ablate your heart, you can never, you always have to rely on the pacemaker. And I was going, oh, okay, and let me think about that. That's a heavy duty thought. So I thought about that and I did my research. And the next day they came in and they said, well, we could do that, but we're not sure it would work. And I go, well, gee, you tell me these things that you want to do, then I have to run them through my brain, and then you tell me that it might not work. So I said, well, what do you recommend? And they said, well, you're not reacting to these pills that we give you. Your problem is we give you these pills to bring your heart rate down, but what it does is it brings your blood pressure way down. So your blood pressure is really low now. So if you got up and walked around, you'd be really lightheaded and probably pass out. And we got you on blood thinners, so you don't want to pass out, because if you pass out and your head hits the ground, then you could have internal bleeding and die. And I said, well, gee, so you're having trouble finding the right drug to bring my heart rate lower without bringing my um, uh, uh, blood pressure lower. And they said, that's correct. So I said to my doctor, I said, well, if it was you, what would you do? And he said, you know what, you're at the Memorial Hospital here in Long Beach, and we have top-notch cardiology department, and we're top-notch, but we're not the top. We're good, but we're not the best. He said, if it was me, I'd go down to Cedars-Sinai today. And I said, wow, that's interesting. So my doctor is recommending me to another doctor, another hospital. And I took him up on that. I left the next day by ambulance and went down to Cedars-Sinai. And then I get down there, and I didn't realize that that's the hospital that specializes in heart transplant. And I'm going, oh, good Lord, what the heck did I do? And so they start talking to me, and they say, well, yeah, you got a serious problem. We could put an LVAP pump in you. And I said, well, that pump, what the heck is that? And then I did the research on that. And what that is they put this pump inside you, and then they have a cord that comes out your belly button that hooks into batteries that runs your heart. So you got to wear a vest full of batteries that have to be recharged all the time. You have to have this vest on all the time, otherwise you die. I was going, plus it's a mechanical pump inside of you, inside your chest. And I said, no way. I said, no, no, that's not going to work for me. I said, I'd rather die than. They said, well, you might just die. And I said, well, we're all just passing through, and I believe in the afterlife. I believe in heaven, and I believe in hell, and I believe I'm going to heaven when I die. And they looked at me and said, oh my gosh. And they said, well, other than that, you could have a heart transplant, but we got to wait for a heart. And a heart transplant? I said, no. I don't want anybody else's used heart. Come on. And they said, well, then there's not a whole lot we can do for you except, try and adjust your drugs. And I was going, oh boy. Okay, so, and this was, 2 years ago. And so, I started praying a lot, and I found in God's Word, He said, life and death are in the power of the tongue. And He said, choose life. And so I chose life. And I said, you know what? I am going to believe God that I'm going to get out of here and without any mechanical devices. And sure enough, one of the doctors I was talking to in there, he said, man, if you get a heart transplant, that's just opening up a whole new set of problems. You got problems. But he said, you know what? I'd see these drugs working for you. He said, give it a few more days. I think these drugs are bringing your heart rate down and without affecting your blood pressure. So give it a few more days. He said, these other doctors, they're anxious about giving you pumps or transplanting your heart. He said, so I said, okay. And so sure enough, a few days later, my my pulse came back down to under 100, and my blood pressure stayed up, and they found the right solution of drugs to give me. And so I was able to get out of there. So anyway, I think I've said enough for the day. And this was 2 years ago. And I'll bring you back up. But anyway, that kept me out of the hospital for a while. And then I was actually, you don't go to the hospital to rest. You go there, they're working on you all the time. So you get it. So once I got out of there, I started getting a lot stronger and stronger and stronger. And I did very good, for the next year and a half. So I just, anyway, I think I've said enough today. And I want to leave you with the happy note of I'm not in the hospital and I'm feeling good. And but the episode does go on. And I think next time I talk to you, I'm going to talk to you about some other stuff other than hospital stuff. How's that? Anyway, until then, you're not going to probably remember what I said. I'm just hoping I make you feel good. And make sure you laugh today. Make sure you laugh today, because a day without laughter and smiling, wasted day. See ya.